Hello, podcast listeners. Long time no record for me. Um, I've been busy, kind of just normal my thing sort of thing. You guys know how it be. I record when I can. So I hope the uh abnormal schedule isn't too much of a issue for folk. If it is, be sure to let me know. But I know it's not really that popular of a podcast at this point anyway. But let's kind of get into it. Today, I want to talk about the le beef, the beef. Um, and you might be thinking like, whoa, hey, Obi, we don't usually tackle such mainstream stuff. But that's not true. We do. Things come out, and if I can get to them in time, we do. Um, this definitely fits within the topic because, we talk about things that are uh, about like black culture and, just black media in general, and, what's to consume and what isn't. Like, you guys know the thing by this point. Um, and this very much fits into that, that kind of fold. And also, just a major historical event, this is history that's happening. Maybe, things will come of this. Maybe we'll see some sort of change. Who knows? Um, but in terms of like, oh, why address this but not the slap? Let's talk about why we're talking about this, I guess. Um, so let's look at the beef, and let's look at the entirety of like Drake and Kendrick as a whole, and what it means for the culture, what it means for hip hop, and the implications of the beef. That's what I want the podcast to be about. This podcast is going to be shorter. I want it to be as short as I can make it, because I've already done a much longer, much deeper dive on my other podcast, Cosmic Color Kids. So check that out when it gets uploaded. I think it's still in the process of being edited. But yeah, that's why we're looking at this instead of like the Will and Chris slap, because like, what is there to even talk about? What, in terms of culture, you know? I don't know. I mean, there's stuff to talk about there, but it just felt very like kind of around whiteness and respectability, and like, I don't know, there were layers there about like, you know, black women being at the butt of the joke, and black masculinity and that sort of thing. So there was stuff to dive into, but I don't know. I'm getting off topic here. I decided not to cover that, but this feels more significant and more kind of in my niche, I suppose. Um, so let's go ahead and start. So again, I don't want to get too deep into like the full complexity around why the beef happened, because I do that in the other podcast episode. But just really quick, as far as I understand it, uh, Drake and Kendrick kind of start around the same time. Maybe Drake a little bit earlier with like Young Money, with like Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj. And Kendrick got his start on the West Coast, Snoop Dogg, that whole kind of area. And they went on a tour early together. I think it was Drake's tour that Kendrick went on that kind of, I wouldn't say it platformed him, but it helped to give him maybe a little bit more notoriety, And they've also done various songs together. Um, there was a song on Drake's album I learned on the podcast. There's Poetic Justice on Kendrick's album. And then they also do that song on A$AP Rocky's album. So they've worked together in the past, but as far as I saw, they don't work together too much now, or have, since like the early days. And my thought around that, I think that's because Kendrick has kind of always had these feelings about Drake, and instead of like addressing them, kind of just decided to distance himself, perhaps. So this beef specifically kind of got started because this whole big three thing, right? The three goats of rap, of hip hop, being Aubrey, kdot, and J. Cole. And I don't really think... I think that Kendrick is cool with J. Cole, but maybe not Aubrey. So J. Cole and Aubrey, they go on tour. And, they're all friendly with each other and such. And they shout out Kendrick, because it's like, oh, everyone always wants to talk about who's the greatest, but we're all three the greatest. And Kendrick is kind of like, nah, don't include me in that. I'm just me. Leave me out of your shit. I'm the greatest. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And so it had the feelings. Sorry, I have notifications on and loud and stuff. And if it has a feeling in the beginning like it's gonna be like an actual, a rap beef. J. Cole sends a verse, but then mysteriously reneges on it. He takes it back. Then Aubrey, he drops a verse, and not a verse, but a song, called Push-Ups. I had a bit of a weird release around like how it was written as an AI. It wasn't even a full release by him. It was like released on the side, and then after a few days later he decided to actually claim it. It was like this weird situation. Then he dropped another one called Tailor Made Freestyle, where he uses the AI voices of Tupac and Snoop, and he's like kind of egging him on to respond, Kendrick. So Kendrick's first response is Euphoria. And the main things that he talks about in this song, initially, he starts by explaining that he knows the moves that Drake is gonna try to do, and he's mostly kind of cautioning him against doing that. At the same time, having it be like a good song, it's definitely still like rap beef at this point, but there's like these subtle tones of like, hey, I'd back down if I were you, sort of thing, calls him like a mass manipulator and stuff, but mostly I think with the main thing that the track is addressing, which is important to me, is how Drake isn't really... It's solely addressing how he kind of uses blackness in this very like costumey kind of way, in a blackface sort of way. And so that's why he says at the end that we don't want to hear you say nigga no more, because it's like the way that he costumes with the culture is very distasteful, and a lot of people felt this way about Drake for a long time, which is why I really liked listening to this song, because it's like finally someone is saying to Drake what we've been feeling should be said to Drake the whole time. So like, yes, finally someone's going there. And it's also, just kind of a jam. So I thought this song was good. he also addresses some of the things that was said in the beef that was said towards him in the first track. But that's pretty much it. And I'm just gonna go over the main things. So we'll get to the next song now. Now, the second song Kendrick releases shortly after. I think 3 days after. It's called 616 in LA. And the song, I think, is really important in the beef. How it kind of felt to me, like, everyone was super hyped for Euphoria, because Euphoria is like this big hit, this big bang, and we all really understand it in this sort of way. It feels a lot more accessible, right? And then shortly on the heels of it, before Drake even responds, comes 616 in LA. And like, we listen to this one, and this one's still good. It's like, yeah, this is definitely a jam, but it feels different to me. Like, a lot of what he's saying doesn't really feel like it's for us. Like, almost none of it feels like it's for us in this sort of way. The first half of the track to me feels like, it almost feels like a soldier. I saw someone say this on Twitter, which kind of helps to congeal my thoughts a little better. They said he felt like it was a knight praying before they went into battle, which is a kind of a cool way to think about it. But it does feel like this like inner dialogue, this inner monologue, this prayer towards God, like about wanting to be this peaceful person, but like feeling like he's got to go to war in this way. He talks about how he puts his kids to sleep and how he enjoys that peace, but like, I don't know, I think this one's really cool, because at the halfway point he then switches up and starts addressing Drake and the beef and everything, and it feels like kind of the final warning here. He talks about how there's leaks. He asks if Drake has ever considered OVOs working for him, and the compromise of his crew. And it's still, it's still a diss, but he feels like in this instance that he's trying to like counsel Drake. He doesn't like him. He feels like he's not a good person, but it still doesn't really feel like malicious. It's like you should be careful who's around you. Don't do what you're thinking of doing, because again, I'm trying to tell you, it's not gonna end well. And just consider your position, and think about that, because you really don't have the position that you think you have. I hope this doesn't sound as rambly as I think it does in my head. I usually don't have a script, but I'm trying to talk enough to cover the entire instrumental tracks, if you haven't noticed. And it's not like I don't have a lot to say about these songs. I'm also trying not to like rehash what I've talked about on the other cast. I don't want to step on that one's toes. But I don't know when that one's gonna come out. And this is kind of like, I wanted it to be a like a quick, if you're someone who hasn't like super duper kept up with the entire thing, to just like, here's the beef, here's the different kind of major understandings of it that you want to use if you want to be in the loop, I suppose, from the Kendrick side of things, because I don't, I'm not really getting into the Drake side of things. You can go somewhere else for that, I suppose. So anyway, Drake, like us, kind of missed the warning and went ahead with Family Matters, which is it's a fun song. People, I think, are gassing up a little more than it needs to be. I saw someone on Twitter say Family Matters would have nuked like 90% of other rappers, I really don't think that's true. Um, I thought it was good, um, but I don't think it was that good. It's definitely, best Drake's done in terms of like rap beef, um, and pure like rap skill, as far as we know. Um, but this song, Meet the Grams, was released um, not even an hour, maybe not even 30 minutes after, and kind of just deflated took the wind out of the sails of Family Matters. Um, in this song, he addresses different people in Drake's family. He starts with Adonis' son, and we got kind of like a Piccolo Gohan situation here, where it's like, I will mentor you, because your dad's not there for you, and he sucks. And again, it's still like this way that he's talking, trying to like, it still doesn't feel like spiteful or malicious, Like, he's framing the song in this way as to where like he wants to help these different people, or at least talk to them in Drake's life. It feels like he wants to help the kids. With his parents, he's more just like, what the hell did you guys do? And I think you guys should know about this kind of stuff. But it still doesn't really feel like, I don't know, mean. But I know when I listened to it, I felt very melancholic. I felt like, damn. At first, my feeling was like, this is the end of rap right here. This is bad. This is ugly. Like, it feels really dark. And I wasn't the only one with those sentiments. But I had to kind of sit back and like really think about what I meant by like death. And as we know, death is just a transition, right? So I felt I changed my position to be like, maybe it's not the death of hip-hop, right? Maybe it's just hip-hop is gonna change after this, but it feels like a monumental kind of shift is happening, not just in hip-hop, but all around the world, like with the protests going on and the strikes from last year, this AI stuff. It feels like things are changing, and the song felt reminiscent of that to me, but that's just my own thoughts on it. So the first verse was towards Adonis, kind of trying to give him tips and tricks on being a man, on performing masculinity. He says on the first record, Drake isn't doing the work to be a father, to raise his kids. So on this one, he's kind of trying to do that work for him, which is grimy in a sort of way, but second verse is Dear Sandra. He's talking to Drake's mom, and says that he's a horrible person with bad feelings and thoughts, and probably shouldn't be around, especially around women. He also addresses this verse to Dennis, who I believe is his father. Says that he raised a really, really horrible person. Says how he doesn't like women in the first record, and kind of comes back here and he delves into that a little bit more. Says that he hypersexualizes and hates black women. He's got these kinks and fetishes and stuff, but doesn't actually like feel love for them, which kind of tracks with him, like kind of always being on the heels, on the tail of women like Nicki Minaj and Rihanna, and then them like, all right, fine, we'll give them a chance, but then like immediately ending their relationship always felt weird to me. Always felt strange to me personally. And then he talks about how there's people in OVO who are sex offenders who shouldn't be around children, and it's messed up that Drake has these kind of people around his kids and other people's kids who are around them. Final part is addressed to Drake's daughter. Drake apparently has this 11-year-old daughter out there who he has not claimed, and he's like, there's probably more kids too, and I'm sorry he's not in your life. I'm sorry. And that's the big bombshell that everyone walked away with. Oh my God, there's a kid. But I think the other really important thing is talking about like the pedophilia that's around, and the just the general harm that's done to women. And it's kind of like, if you knew this was happening, why didn't you you probably could have said something before. But he says in this last verse how this was kind of the purpose of Mr. Morale, to target that grief and be able to cope and be able to learn and be able to heal. So I like that. It still has like that kind of Kendrick feel, of like we're still trying to bring positivity and growth to the thing, even if he's trying to bury my guy right now. I also forgot the last verse is to Aubrey directly, and he tells him to do some ayahuasca, strip the ego down, and addresses a lot of the lies that he did and stuff, and talks about how it's not really a rap battle, it's about him battling himself. And yeah, I definitely feel that it's not a rap battle at this point anymore. It feels kind of like the public flogging of a man or something. It feels different at this point. It kind of felt like, oh my God, I didn't want this. I thought I wanted this, but I didn't want this, I don't think. And we'll get to the last song now. Not Like Us. This one is released within the day from Meet the Grams, and thankfully turns the energy around. This song is definitely I would say the best song on the on the Hate EP, I guess, this EP, I don't know. I personally like Euphoria better, but this one's got more staying power. Definitely getting bopped more, getting more plays. Broke some records in its first day. Anyway, he's just doubling down on the things he said in the previous songs. The pedophile stuff. Honestly, I think that's mostly what it's about. If I'm being honest, it's just 6 minutes of hey Drake, I hear you like him young. Not 6 minutes. How long is it? Like four and a half. But this one kind of feels like him saying to Drake, like, I can also do I can make a jam as well. Kind of like how Back to Back was, which was referenced earlier in the on the first track. So the full thing here, he says on the first track, he's like, look, man, I can predict your angle, fabricating stories about my family because you heard Mr. Morale. And that's literally what he does in Meet the Grams. Or, no, the song after this one, what's it called again? The Heart Part 6. He talks about, oh, you think I'm a pedophile because you were touched as a kid. And he also, in the other previous tracks, talks a lot about Kendrick's wife, Whitney, and his cheating on her and abusing her, which that one hasn't been confirmed. But he's like, yeah, no, that's true. But since you brought my family in, I gotta go sicko mode now. It's like he knew he was gonna do that the whole time, which is why Meet the Grams releases right after Family Matters, um, which lends credence to the whole, inside folks thing, which Drake tries to spin and says, hey, we planted this information. But why would you plant information about you being a pedophile? I think that's weird. And also doesn't really look at the many, many years of information we have of just like Drake and his questionable relationships with women. Um, anyway, this song has been in everyone's heads for the past week. Um, you know, I play it here and there. I think it's good. We jam into it. And I think that this is the end of the beef, which is why I wanted to record the cast now. I wanted to record it. I said it was over on like, what is today? Thursday? I said it was over like Sunday or Monday. Because Drake dropped his response Saturday, Heart Part 6. There was no response from Kendrick that day or the next day on Sunday. And I was like, yeah, this feels like the end. Like, it feels like he's definitely more in like defensive mode at this point. Like, the track was mostly just refuting the allegations and such. And at the same time, he just kind of felt defeated, So it was it felt like the end to me. I was like, all right, I think we're done. Even if more tracks are released at this point, I think it's over. And that's why I think Kendrick won, because kind of at every opportunity he definitely took things and into his own hands. I don't know. I'm saying stuff at this point. I feel like this wasn't as kind of like informative as I like to get usually. The main things that we take away here, which is why I wanted to do this. If you didn't know before, even if we don't get into full pedophile area, right? We don't have to go there because that is, as of now, unfounded. Drake has had in the past, and as far as we know, continues to have questionable relationships with younger women, specifically like teenagers. And a lot of these women publicly state like there was nothing out of the ordinary about this relationship. Millie Bobby Brown has come on and said that. The girl that he brought up on stage and kissed when she was 17, she said that. But I don't think that means that it's appropriate just because it wasn't, in the realm of like inappropriate, Like there's a gray area there that I don't even think you should be operating in. Like it should be appropriate, or like I don't want to be in any kind of questionable situation, That's how I look at it personally. Clearly Drake doesn't see it that way. The other main thing to address, which is unfounded at this point, is the young girl and potentially more children out there of Drake's. We might not ever get actual confirmation on that. I don't know. The third thing and the biggest thing in my eyes is finally illuminating a light on how Drake has for years gone to different parts of black culture and taken from those parts of the culture, even at times like deflating the careers of other artists. slowing them up and getting bigger in his own right. Like, I don't know if I'd say outright stealing their work. Um, this beef brought to light for me, for example, Hotline Bling, and how it was apparently just Dram's song Cha Cha, which I like, but I didn't even know about until this. And I listened to it, and it's good. I'm not gonna go back and listen to Hotline Bling to compare because I don't feel like giving it streams or whatever. But from what I remember of Hotline Bling, they sound pretty similar, at least in feel. Um, but yeah, he goes to these different places, and I think just because of how big of a star he is, people decide to work with him, and it's we're giving people, and he seems like a cool guy. Um, but yeah, then he's kind of like a vampire to the culture, and then he wears the skin of the culture after he sucks the blood from it. And hopefully, from this, we are able to kind of prevent that from happening any further with both Drake and anyone else who might be looking to do that. I like to say that kdot won because kdot feels like he's the one who's on our side, and Drake has never felt like he's on our side to me. Drake has always felt exploitative of blackness. And I'm personally not really a fan of that. I've never really been a fan of Drake because of that. And because of the weirdness with women, which unfortunately kind of hard to get away from in rap sometimes. Often, even. I don't think Kendrick is perfect. I like his music, but I wouldn't go out and I'm not going to go and cape for the guy or anything. But as someone who was kind of following the thing very closely from Rip, mainly on Twitter, seeing all of the tweets exchanged, all of the getting all the updates on little weird things like the subtle line changes from the initial release of Drake's first song to his actual release of it, tailor-made freestyle, which is no longer accessible because Tupac's estate demanded that Drake take it down because it was it was bad. Little things like that, if you're someone who's gotten only little bits and pieces of info from different sources on the internet, like Facebook post or an Instagram post or Drake's page or different celebrities tweeting about it and that sort of thing, or posting about it. This is the info I have from you here. I personally would draw the conclusion that kdot has won the beef and that the beef is over. I suppose I could technically be wrong on that last front, which means I could be wrong on both fronts, but as things stand now, that's where we're at, I believe. And I hope you believe that too, because I like us to agree on things. I was, it's not, I'm not being biased here. I mean, I'm being biased, but I'm not being unfair in my ruling at the end, I don't think. I didn't want Meek Mill to lose the beef, but that was pretty conclusive with the whole back-to-back thing. This feels the same. So, if you're out there and someone asks, if I see you around and someone's like, oh, Drake won the, I mean, like, hey, cut it out. Don't do that. He's not for us. He doesn't need that from us, okay? He's gotten enough from us. Let him go be Black Taylor Swift in the pop scene. Let's get him and other vultures out of the culture and let's, really decide for ourselves what's able to like be great within our spaces. The things that are actually for us that are good to consume. Because I wouldn't put Drake on the list. I think a lot of his stuff is like fluffy, like he's got the pop songs that's like, it's good to listen to. You're in the car jamming with your friends, you might have a Drake song on. But I don't know how much of it is really like substantial, meaty, and culturally meaty in that way. I don't know if I've talked about it on the cast before, but I do have a top 5 list of my favorite rappers. I guess I'll start from the bottom, because that's like, you save the best for last or whatever. My number 5 is No Name. My number 4 is kdot, Kung Fu Kenny. My number 3 is Michi Darko. He's from Flatbush Zombies. My number 2 is Black Thought, who does a lot of his own music now. I don't think the Roots is making music anymore, but from fame of the Roots, or however you say that. My honorable mention is Vince Staples. And my number 1 is Lupe Fiasco. In terms of the tracks and like doing like a rating them or whatever. 10 for Not Like Us, 9 for Euphoria, 8 for Meet the Grams, 7 for 616 in LA. And I guess I can rate the Drake ones too. No, I'm actually not gonna do that. Yeah, I'll probably make another podcast episode soon. I've been watching some hood classics. I have 2 more under my belt. I had to watch Menace to Society, and I watched what was the other one I watched? Oh, I haven't watched it yet. I'm supposed to watch House Party. I'll watch that at some point. I've been keeping up with Abbott. I feel like there's something else that I watched that I wanted to address, but I haven't. Fallout, I'll speak about briefly, still follows the trend of white dad, black women, wife and child, which has another aspect of it I didn't really consider prior to now, which is how white people feel about it. Not only is it like distasteful to me, but there are white people who like it's also distasteful to, but kind of funnel that into, with the whole anti-woke vibe going on these days, into hate for black women. So it's like now the trope is actively harmful, because it's this whole thing like, oh my god, our culture, our people, the white race is being wiped out, and it's because these men, the TV's trying to say that we should be marrying these black, I was going to say some derogatory things. I was getting into character there, but I'm not even going to do it because it doesn't feel good. Thinks that we should be, procreating with these black women and creating these black children. It just feels like, studios, please stop. Can we, I get you're trying to fill the diversity quota. Can you just not, or at least just have a full black family, or please, let's, enough, right? Enough. I think we're done. But yeah, other than that, I'll compile whatever else I've been on recently, and we'll get another episode going soon. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Thanks for checking it out. If you have your own thoughts on the beef, if this is the first time listening to the beef, since it's still kind of fresh in everyone's mind, I wonder how you got down this rabbit hole. Like, I'm sure you didn't listen to all the content around the beef, but like, how'd you get here? What's that about? Hi, welcome. My other episodes are so much better, I promise. I think that's all I have, though. Uh, I pray, I hope, that you uh get some unexpected money. That'd be nice. Solidarity with the college protesters and with Palestine and with Sudan and with Congo, and all of the oppressed peoples around the world, including my own. Abolish the police, fuck the police, smash the state, all that good stuff. You know, read a book. I don't know. Kiss someone. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you.